welcome to Stampin' by Hannah. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for joining me on a Make It Monday. I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. I'm based in the UK and I'm so pleased you have chosen to click on this video. I have a fun card for you today that I haven't yet made. I hope you're enjoying these kind of on-the-fly kind of crafting videos. Basically, over the past couple of weeks, I haven't had a lot of time to craft, so all my videos have been, I'm going to make a card and I will shove the camera on while I do it. So that is what I am doing today. I have the Picture Perfect birthday stamp set. I've got a bunch of Picture Perfect party designer series paper scraps. I've got a piece of cardstock and we're going to make a card, basically. I know exactly what card I'm going to make. I don't know any of the measurements, so all the measurements will be in this video and I will try and put them in the blog post as well. Try. So, super quick and easy card to use up your scraps of designer series paper. This is my Stamp of the Month Club stamp set for April. It's the Picture Perfect birthday. I love this so much. And there are some fabulous cards in the class. All the details for that class will be available on my blog. The link is in the down bar below. But as well as the stamp set, you get a sample of the designer series paper. We're not using all the designer series paper that you're going to get, so you're going to get scraps left over. And I thought I would share a fun card with you that you could use. You could use it up, because you know we all have heaps of DSP in our craft rooms, don't we? I mean, I don't know if anybody else has stacks in their craft room that look. I'm kind of trying to get out the drawer like that. All of that is going to retire on me in April, or in well, the end of April, beginning of May. So yeah, expect lots of cards with designer series paper, lots of designer series paper projects coming your way to use up those scraps. So, shall we get making? Because I've now waffled for two minutes. Right, this card requires quite heavy use of your stamping trimmer. But we should be able to get the whole card out of one piece of cardstock. So it is kind of cardstock heavy because we're used to getting two cards out of one piece, aren't we? But it's gonna work. We're gonna make it work. So I'm gonna cut this piece of A4 straight down the middle at 10.5 centimeters, and then I'm going to use the separate score blade on our trimmer to score it at 4.85 centimeters. That little extra half makes all the difference when you're trying to stand your cards up. Excuse me. Your stamping trimmer does have two blades with it as standard. It comes with a pale grey blade that you use to score. I'm going to push that one away because we don't need that one now. And the dark grey blade, which is your cutting blade. Now my blade is due a replacement very soon, so I'm starting to get fluffy edges. But I'm going to continue on for this video. Super easy to change out blades though. And all the blades are available in my Stampin' Up web store. The link to that is, as always, in the down bar below. So, there is my card base. Now, my scraps, and for all I have 4 scraps, I don't actually have a piece big enough to go on my card front. So, let's just grab out the pack of designer series paper. And I'm going to turn it over because I want I'm going to go through this pack of paper because it's so cool. It has photo real images. You can see how much I've used it. Loads of scraps. Photo real images on one side and kind of geometric patterns on the other, which is lovely. So I'm going to take that piece because that piece is actually the perfect size. Isn't that handy? So let's just move all these out the way again. So we've got our piece of designer series paper, so we need to cut that down to standard mat size. So my standard card is 10.5 centimeters by 14.85. So I'm going to cut down to 10 by 14.3 centimeters. Now I will make this card in metric measurements because that's what I have. I work in A4. But you can use exactly the same principles to make a card using 8.5 by 11 if you're in the States. So that is the kind of front basis of our card. Now then, the next piece, we're going to take a piece of cardstock and I'm going to cut it to, I think, about 7 centimetres by 10 again. which is the width of that piece of designer scissors paper, don't forget, to go down our card like that. And then we need a piece of designer scissors paper off the front of that one. So, have I got one wide enough? I don't. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this piece, which is 6 centimetres. So I want this cut down to 6.5. So 6.5 by 10. So I want 6 by 9.5, like so, which will fit beautifully on there. And you can see my fluffy edges, can't you, actually? So there's that piece. And then I want this piece here. So how wide is that? That's 4.5 centimetres. So I want a piece that's 5 centimetres by, let's call it 5 by 8. So I can cut that down to 7.5, and that will fit on there like that. And then I have a piece of Whisper White that I am going to stamp on. Now then, let's measure our stamp, because that's how we're going to get the kind of piece for that. So that stamp is 5.5 centimetres by 4. So I'm going to cut that piece, this piece of Whisper White, to 5.5 centimetres by 4 centimetres, like so. And then I'm going to have a piece of designer pool party cardstock that's 5 centimetres by, was it, oh, you know, it's not going well, is it? What was it? It's 5.5 by 4, isn't it? So we want 6 by 4.5, I believe. Beautiful. Right, I'm going to move my trimmer out of the way and all the other little scraps. You can see that this does use up a fair amount of cardstock and a fair amount of designer scissors paper, but you can always add more and more and more layers on. I have got my piece of Whisper White. I have got the stamp which says happiest of birthdays to you. Love this stamp set. And I'm going to use Memento Basic Black Memento Tuxedo Black ink for this. The reason for that is because it's a photopolymer stamp. Now, our basic black ink works very well on photopolymer stamps, there's no problem, and you can use it, go right ahead. Now, however, getting it off requires a specialist cleaner, and that can damage your photopolymer. So when I can, I try and use Memento with my photopolymer, just to kind of help my stamps last a bit longer. So I'm going to ink up my stamp. Now, we also do carry the re-inker for Memento. So if your ink pad's getting a little bit dry, don't worry about it. There is a re-inker available in the online store. I'll stamp that straight down onto that piece of cardstock. Isn't that fabulous? Now, because it's a photopolymer stamp, I can easily place that onto that piece that's kind of pre-cut. You could always stamp it first and then trim the cardstock around it. I like doing things the awkward way. That's the way I usually work. So while that's drying, I'm going to assemble my card. So let's pop some snail on the back of here. And I'll stick that straight down onto the front of our card. I'm going to then pop some snail on the back of the other piece of designer scissors paper as well, to layer them up together like so. And then snail on the back there, like that. Now, before we completely assemble our card, we do kind of work out where everything is going to go. I like it. I like that. I think that's really quite nice. I am then going to take some of our Pool Party shimmer ribbon. I love this stuff. It's got glitter kind of embedded into it. Makes it very, very pretty. And I'm going to wrap around this piece and tie a bow. Now, this may take me a while. If you've noticed that there is a cut in the process here in my video, you'll know, because I've taken forever and a week to tie a bow, because that is normally what happens. So, I would talk you through how I do this, but genuinely talking and tying a bow at the same time doesn't go very well. Oh, talk about bow impaired. Right. I tried to tie a bow on a Facebook Live last week. Oh my goodness, it took me ages. That's on YouTube actually. You can watch my bow tying bloopers live on YouTube. So there we go. I'm going to pull that back a little bit. I want a dinky little bow. I think that's not half bad actually. Now you could always do a bit of a cheat and wrap the ribbon around and then tie the bow separately and stick it on, and that is, I still call it a cheat, but it's not really. It's a perfectly legitimate way of doing it. So I'm going to just wiggle that down to the bottom. My big top tip for using ribbon is sellotape. Sticky tape, other brands are available. And I use that to just make sure that ribbon is not going to slide off there. It's going to stay nicely on our piece of cardstock. So I'm going to grab some snail, I think, for this piece. And I'm going to snail the next piece as well. So I'm going to pop that one there. I'm going to pop some snail on this one. Just like that. And we're going to offset them a little bit. There. And then I'm going to grab some dimensionals for the back of our sentiment. Now I'm using up the sides of my dimensionals still. And because it's all adhesive, it's all good stuff. It all works. So just because it's a side piece doesn't mean you can't use it. I'm going to take the backing off. There we go. Happiest of birthdays to you. And that's going to go straight down there. And that is a quick and simple card to use up your scraps of designer series paper. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Don't forget, everything that you've seen on my videos you can purchase in my online store. The link, as always, is in the down bar below, or you can find it on my blog, StampinByHannah.co.uk. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.